Hi, I'm Tim Andrews.
Hi, I'm Jackie DeVito.
Welcome to Courageous Hearts Podcast.
Welcome.
I don't even know what episode this is, but I think we're up in the double digits.
Yes, we are.
Congratulations.
And congratulations to you, sir.
We should be celebrating. We don't celebrate enough. We can
Woo!
celebrate this. And today we kept kicking around like the thought process because we're working with so many people that are utilizing childhood survival tactics in their adult life to they think they're using they don't know they're using it, but they think they're using it to better themselves. Actually, they're just using them to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few different types of these childhood tactics that we see come up a lot. My personal favorite, because I use it so much, is like the people pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you a little bit where it came from. It comes from a little boy who was consistently in the middle of two parents that were young and should have never have been together, I don't think, or maybe for a short period of time, but a very short period of time. And here this little emotional boy comes into the picture who is full of life and full of love and full of joy, I would imagine. So this little boy steps into the picture, and then he recognizes emotionally, mentally, or energetically that this thing is a mess.
Yeah.
It's dramatic, but in order to live, he must do something to fix.
Yeah.
And what I learned to do was just people please.
Yeah.
And make sure mom was all right, or dad was all right, or uncle was all right, or brother was all right, or stepbrother for that matter, or stepsister was all right, or this person was all right. I was consistently in the middle, and I became the peacekeeper of the family.
Yeah.
And because of what my thought process is if I keep everybody happy and keep the peace, then nobody will leave. What was happening on a real deeper level is if everybody isn't happy and everyone does leave, I will not survive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how deep these come into play. And this is just one of many that I have, but a primary one. And the cost of this particular strategy in my adult life has been huge.
Yeah.
Because I'm more interested in what you want from me or what I think you want from me, that I will. It was the same thing as a kid. You just don't really notice as much that I will sacrifice what I want for what I think you want, and then I don't get to stand authentically in the world. So I'll say yes to things that I absolutely don't want to say yes to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I either will not do them,
Mm-hmm.
which will create something with my word and my self-value and self-worth, or I will do them in protest,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll know it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody will know it because I'm like, because I can be a big baby stomping around, which then just creates really horrible energy. Or I'll say no to things that I want to do
Mm-hmm.
because someone else wants to. I'm saying no to someone and then yes to somebody else, which is just the different version of people pleasing. And then I will sacrifice, going to the comedy club or an experience or doing something new or having fun. Like I'll sacrifice that because my people pleasing is just my need for you to like me and for the world to be a safe place, because there was such a lack of safety in my childhood, like emotionally,
Yeah.
because it was so messy, that it trumps everything.
Yeah.
And so the cost is I live a really small I live other people's lives versus my own. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
living other people's lives. I'm not living my own life. I live
Mm-hmm.
their life.
Mm-hmm.
That's just one of the
Yeah.
many.
I completely relate to that. When you were talking, I was thinking about just how much we're able to pick up on things when we're little.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my grandmother and grandfather raised me, and I remember knowing at a very, very young age that I could not create any problems because I knew that they didn't have to take me in. So I didn't feel like I had the right to create any waves.
Right.
And so it was peace at all costs,
Mm.
was what I learned.
Mm.
Play small, fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I did was I was creating trouble, right? Because I felt unlovable. I felt a lot. And my grandparents, they gave me a ton of love. It was not them.
Sure.
It was the original, what I felt from my parents, which was abandonment.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever I did out in the world, I did it in private. And I outsourced. I had like a whole lineup of people that I would manipulate. I didn't know I was manipulating, but I would manipulate. I would flirt with the kid in my math class because I knew, oh, if I ever need anything, that kid likes me, I can call him. So I started collecting people in my life at a young age that if I ever needed anything, and this wasn't like monetary or anything like that. It was, I've worked since I was 12. That was another thing. Like I kind of always felt like I had to have my ducks in a row because at any point the shoe could fall. So I outsourced my safety, which was not real safety, and I learned to play small. I learned peace at any cost. And then I became like a chameleon as well. That's why I was so great at sales, because I was like, who do I need to be to fit in here? And then what ended up happening was I got married, I had children, and I had a complete like identity crisis. I was like, I don't get it. I'm here. I checked all the boxes. Like, why am I in this like depression? And it was because I just did not know who I was. And I was a lifetime of agreeing and doing things that I never even, I don't even know if I wanted to do them or not, because I never checked in with myself. I never even knew I had an option.
Mm-hmm.
So I can relate to that.
Fortunately, like life gives us these lessons so that we can expand, evolve, ascend, in order to contribute, to be examples of like we can have it all. You can have the relationship. You can be happy. I think the next level for me, like in that, like first it would be people pleasing, and then the next little thing I just learned was just like emotional shutdown, which was another strategy of mine. I'll just shut down. And then no, and then I'm very connected and loving and emotional and it's authentic. And in order to protect all of that, because it was so difficult at times, I would just shut down. I would just go to a different place. And then if I move that forward in my life, not unlike you, like having two kids and then being in a relationship, and there was just a lot of things, that I created in that relationship because I was dissatisfied. So I know that I moved into like my emotional shutdown. I go into that place, I'm shut down, which makes it very difficult for anybody to be with, because if you're emotionally shut down, no one really wants to be, especially when you came into the relationship emotionally open.
Sure.
Yeah, you come in open because you're people pleasing, and you're open anyway. And then, then little things begin to happen because the people pleaser doesn't have any boundaries. So then I don't set boundaries when these little things or bigger things happen because I'm too scared to set boundaries because ultimately I feel like you're going to leave me. And so I don't set boundaries, and then I shut down, and then it's like a vicious spiral. And before you know it, I'm in a situation where I have friends calling me that haven't talked to me in 3 years and be like, because of whatever they're witnessing, that I was never on social media, but whatever they bared witness to on social media, they're like, what is going on?
I know, and you're in this little bubble of protection, not
Oh my
wanting to see
God.
anything.
Can't see anything. And don't and it's so painful to see.
I know.
Because that's what we were talking about earlier in one of our earlier podcasts, because it takes courage to see.
Yep.
Because to see is to take action, or to pretend or to go in denial, which is another form of protection. And with this type of work that we're doing, denial is only an option for a very limited amount of time.
Yeah.
It's there, you know what I mean? We have it as an option.
Yeah.
It's for a very limited amount of time. We don't have, that's what when we're talking about the road gets narrower, I can only use, where I could use denial for weeks, I could use denial for an hour, a day at best. And
Mm-hmm.
then action's necessary. And then in that action for me, going against my people pleasing, going against, the fact that I didn't want to have boundaries, moving more into my emotional letting go, which then I'm crying all the time in an immense amount of pain. Can't function either way. I mean, I can function because I know how to work, so it's probably my safe place. I know how to do that, but I was unfunctionable.
Yeah.
There was a big cost for that.
Yeah.
Like all, I mean, I would do it all the time.
Yeah. I think you went through something similar to me where there was just this identity crisis
Yeah.
because now like this thing that you created in your brain of like being the father, being the husband, being this, being that gets turned upside down, which is, often a blessing in disguise
Right.
because it kind of has to fall apart if we don't have the courage to choose to do it different.
Yep. They call that like the dark night of the soul.
Dark
I
night
know
of
we
the
talked
soul.
about that
Yeah.
before too, where the good news is that it does fall apart.
Mm-hmm. Well, it
And
was falling apart.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
Actually, it was probably never together.
yeah. Yeah.
If I really think about it, I think a lot about like an old place that I was in, and at 7 years in, I was questioning things,
Yeah.
and then I mean, this is to nobody's. No one's good or bad here. It just, like I'm not saying,
Everybody's doing
yeah,
everybody's just doing
like
their thing.
everyone's just doing what they're doing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've stayed. It didn't matter whether it be that or whether it be something else. I've stayed in things due to my people. I've agreed to do things due to my people pleasing and stayed far past any expiration date, whether it be a week, a month, a year, 15 years. And the more sophisticated version of me, in my 40s, I would burn buildings down,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be a hidden cost
Mm-hmm.
of a protection of mine, which is
Sure.
the people pleasing, the emotional shutdown. There's the hyper independence. There's a lot of them,
Yeah.
and that the hidden cost was that I would destroy relationships,
Mm-hmm.
destroy them, and because I was by people pleasing got in the way of what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a hidden an emotional shutdown just gave me like a numbness. I could just be numb.
And when we're not doing what we want, it's going to create resentment,
Tons of it.
tons of resentment, which is going to leak out
Mm-hmm.
in the ways it does, new and
Mm-hmm.
interesting ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For me, I think first was playing small.
Mm-hmm.
And then second was the people pleasing, which is manipulation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think I thought that if people really liked me, then that would create safety.
Right.
So I was a charmer.
Right.
First of all, I was bubbly
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
and
had all
sweet
the
and
attributes
loving.
of a very sweet, kind
And
person anyway.
yes, and I was like really fun. And I remember my best friends in high school would say, like, if Jackie walks into a dark alley, she's coming out with 3 friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just who I was. But you know what? I hated that.
Mm.
I hated that. We've talked about this. I remember coming home from high school and being like, I wish I could be someone else. Because I can't tell you what a target I was to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was such an open book and wanted to be everybody's best friend and wanted to be like, I didn't know that I was creating what I wanted at home or what I
Right.
needed at home. Like I wasn't staying up at night thinking like, oh, I'm going to be nice to people so that if I ever need anything, like I didn't know I was doing that.
Right.
After doing my work and like seeing, I was like, oh, I get it. I was creating safety
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't have at home. But I was like, I felt the responsibility to be the first one on the dance floor at a party. I felt the responsibility to go around and talk to everybody and make sure that everyone was having a good time. And, all the my codependency was in control for survival. And then because I was cute and I was outgoing and I was a good student and I was like, I graduated like teacher's pet, like like in high school and in grammar school, that that I always attracted a lot of criticism,
Mm-hmm.
which my mother was very critical. So I just kind of
Yeah, perpetuated that.
perpetuated that. Really is probably what I attracted in my life. But yeah, it was really hard because I would think like I would talk to somebody, I would think they were awesome, and then I'd go home and I'd get a phone call that that person was making fun of me after I left or something like that, which was like heartbreaking
Yeah, I'm sure.
as a kid,
Yeah.
And then what happened was, A, like that was part of it, but B, like the responsibility of always feeling responsible for other people's feelings,
Yeah.
and that's a heavy, heavy thing to carry.
It's heavy. That I think about, and it was brought to my attention by you and many people. Like Rita, when we go do work over there with her, like, and I've said it multiple times. Pressure, people pleasing for me was always about pressure. I came out of the womb with this pressure of having to fix, take care of, and make things okay, and that has happened, or I have created that in my whole life.
Yeah.
That pressure. That there's that pressure, and so anything can be pressure to me.
Yeah, you know what, Tim? That's a dynamic that I see with a lot of the couples that we work with, or a lot of men that I work with, or couples I work with, is that idea of these young boys becoming their mother's
Keeper.
And I know when I introduced the term like you became the surrogate husband, it's like it hits them,
Yeah.
the impact
Mm-hmm.
of the responsibility emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
physically, how they were parentified
Mm-hmm.
and made into this spouse figure because either the father wasn't present emotionally or wasn't present physically or was checked out. I mean, you name it. And then these moms look for this companionship, this safety, this emotional healing
Mm-hmm.
with their sons.
Yep. It's a big burden. I have to say that. I don't know how my stepfather married my mom. I would not have married a woman that had the relationship with her son like that her and I had.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I feel like you had, I mean, I don't know, I wasn't in your marriage, but I know you today. And I think you do a pretty good job of having boundaries around your mom,
Mm-hmm.
where your partner doesn't feel like they're the third wheel in the relationship.
Yeah.
But that's one dynamic that is created, that the
Mm-hmm.
the surrogate husband role never
Mm-hmm.
really ends.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get married,
Yep.
and then the spouse feels like they're in a threesome of
I
sorts.
work with people that like that today. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do. There's always someone else in the relationship.
There's always someone
There's
else
always,
in the relationship.
and that is really just it's that form of that need. I know we're talking a lot about people pleasing today, but again, there's multiple. It just happens to be a primary one, but there's multiple levels of defense and protections and strategies. It's highly destructive because it doesn't lead to intimacy. It doesn't lead to safety. These protections don't give us an element of safety.
No, and it's felt like
Oh yeah,
it is felt.
across the board.
Yeah. And then the other thing it creates is the dynamic that you're describing, is this pressure of constantly feeling pressured.
Right.
And I have a client kind of very similar, who, by the way, was gifted all girls by God as well, and became the surrogate kind of husband figure for his mom at a young age, and is that go-to person for his wife, for his daughters, has just kind of continued that pattern, and then feels the stress
Right.
of and the pressure of being that.
Yep. It's a lot. I mean, all of these. It's to your point. It's exhausting. It leads to burnout, and then it leads to a high level of stress.
Yeah.
And we're just there's just a consistent. It's a strategy that worked as a kid. It did what it was supposed to do, and then as an adult, all of these strategies they turn into huge deficits, huge deficits. And the emotional toll that it takes on you, your family, your friends, your kids, your businesses, it takes an emotional toll on everything because it leads to a ton of overcompensation.
Yeah. Which leads to resentment,
Yep.
and I think that, like you said, the emotional intimacy, the physical, well, within the partnership, the romantic intimacy, but within the family system, the emotional intimacy I think pays a
Oh
huge,
yeah.
on top of our health and everything else that pays a price. But then everything becomes a burden.
Everything. Everything.
Everything feels like pressure.
Everything feels like pressure. Take trash out. Can you get the mail? Like everything is pressure. Or can you put the dishes in the sink? Like everything has this level, and those are just minimal things that are happening around the house. Never mind, some bigger. Did you get the plane tickets? When's the trip booked or whatever? Like we can go on and on with with more of these, and as partners, working together as partners and, both emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, professionally, it's great for us to recognize this as partners. And that's a lot of the work that we do to help people see these patterns and the toll that it's taken.
And where it comes from.
And where it
Because
comes from is the
it's
most
like,
important piece.
yeah. I remember in my prior life, I would tell the girl's dad, like, his reaction was the same whether somebody spilled water or somebody, like, was about to off a bomb. Like, everything was just,
Oh,
there
I
was
know.
one
Yeah, I can
mode
relate.
of
That
being.
time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
constantly stressed.
constantly
Yep.
stressed. I think his came from another place, but I think that this is a dynamic that's created when the pressure's on.
Yes, they just take a toll on everything.
Yeah.
They really do, and they leave us empty, hollow, and always wanting more, but never being able to get it because we have no boundaries. We can't stand in any drift anywhere, and we're just constantly being sucked down the river of victim because it's just a victim tactic.
I've been seeing this dynamic with the women that I work with, where they're and it's fascinating because I do the same exact thing. It's this dynamic where somebody crosses a boundary, then we get really big and argumentative and upset, and we hold our ground, and then we concede.
Yeah,
And it's just this
vicious.
yeah, I do it with my kids.
Yep, I know.
It's like,
I've watched.
oh my God, it's like, you got to keep your rooms clean. Okay, yeah, we're going to keep our rooms clean. And I get up, and no eating in the rooms. There's all kinds of stuff in their room, from the night before. And then I'm like, because, after the 20th time of like, hey, you got to keep your room clean. And then I get all upset. And then I concede because I don't hold the boundary. And then it goes right back to whatever it was.
Then it creates the overwhelm. And the interesting thing about all of this is, like we would say,
well, hold on. I think that the overwhelm creates it because I'm so overwhelmed already,
right,
that to hold the boundary
right,
is like, feels too much.
right. And you wouldn't be overwhelmed if you held boundaries.
Right. It's
Yeah,
like,
you know what I
it's
mean?
like
That's the vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And in the theory that how I do anything, or the theory is that it only affects me here, it only affects me there, is it affects us everywhere.
Yeah, it does.
In every single aspect of our life.
Yep.
When I'm people pleasing and I'm exhausted, it takes away from you, person that I love the most. It takes away from you. It has to, because I don't have the level of energy. It takes away from Ethan. It takes away from Lucy. There's no way around it. So if we stand in our power, we get to have the greatest experience that we can have in our life, which is depth.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it with the standing in our power. I think the people pleasing is just a constant state of powerlessness. It's giving up what we want, not knowing we have options, not really standing in who we are, maybe never getting to know who we really are. Ton of powerlessness and no
Yeah.
freedom.
No, there's not any freedom with that.
No.
No freedom with that. And in conclusion, the way through is to create enough safety for yourself.
Oh, hell yeah.
Create enough safety for yourself so that you can be, which takes courage, so that you can be present and you can be authentic and you can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that's gonna move us out of protection and into connection.
Yeah.
You did it for me the other day. You moved me in from my protection of my overwhelm, which is due to my people pleasing of all the people I see, and I get overwhelmed. That's you know what I mean. Just say that, and then you move me into like, I got you, I see you, I'm here with you, we're on the same team.
Yep.
And so you move me in, you connected, you moved me into connection, and then I was like,
yeah, we got to do a podcast on like creating safety for yourself, because that is there are a couple things that changed my life, and that was one of them.
Yep.
Was learning that I create my safety.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of them. So thank you anyway.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting us do this. I know I was the one that wanted to push this one because I just think it's so I know that you do too, but I think it's so very important.
And I think it gets to be a to be continued, because there's people pleasing, and there's a myriad of other ways that we do protection. So stay tuned.
Yes, for our next one. So thank you for listening. This is our Courageous Hearts podcast, and if you would like to hear more about Courageous Hearts, just go to courageoushearts.com. No, courageousheartscoaching.com.
Yes.
And you'll see our retreats, and you'll see
our pictures.
You put a screensaver.
Our book.
Our book and everything that we get to do out here in the world that we're just very grateful. One of my old mentors said to me, how can you possibly, I was like, oh, I'm so grateful for this life. It was an old doctor, he had passed, and he's like, of course, why wouldn't you be grateful for this life? What other kind of occupation can you have that you constantly get to work on yourself and be a better person?
Yep.
And I was like, oh,
and help others.
Help others, yeah.
Well, I think that's a great way to bring it on home.
That's right. Thank you, guys.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.